Everybody know who Christopher Williams was, who was around there at the time. He did not play.
He was angry about the MTV Unplugged situation, but he didn't understand the politics in it.
I was in a rage, and so I smashed all the gold and platinum records, tore them up, tore up the machines, ripped the wallpaper off, kicked the...
If you believe that only rappers can be wild and intimidating, then you clearly haven't encountered Christopher Williams, an R&B sensation who delivered hit after hit and stole the show as Kareem Akbar in New Jack City. At the height of his fame, he was the man everyone wanted to be.
Come on and go with me.
Beneath the silky vocals and polished movie star persona, there was a true menace. A man rumored to have choked one of the world's biggest stars at a celebrity party. Someone accused of trashing record label offices, pistol-whipping rivals, and crafting a reputation so wild it trailed him everywhere. Let's dive in. Christopher Williams was born in the Bronx on August 22, 1967, and from the very start, his bloodline carried weight. His aunt was none other than Ella Fitzgerald, the First Lady of Song herself. As a child, Christopher wasn't just glued to cartoons or roaming the block. Sometimes, he found himself backstage, witnessing greatness up close. He watched his aunt command stages alongside legends like Frank Sinatra and Count Basie, learning firsthand what true excellence looked like. That kind of exposure leaves a mark. Yet the contrast was stark once the curtains fell and the lights dimmed. Christopher returned to reality. And reality in the Bronx of the 70s and 80s was ruthless. Burned out buildings, families torn apart by the epidemic, crime on every corner. Meanwhile, hip-hop culture was rising from the streets, reshaping youth identity and fueling raw energy. Christopher grew up straddling these two worlds. By the time he landed a deal with Geffen Records in the late 80s, the industry had already decided how to position him. They weren't marketing him as the next smooth, church-bred crooner in the Sam Cooke mold. They saw something edgier, darker, more complex. His debut album, Adventures in Paradise, 1989, delivered hits like Talk to Myself, but the music was only part of the story. The image carried just as much weight. While other R&B singers at the time favored shiny suits, soft lighting, and rehearsed smiles, Christopher Williams looked like he had just stepped off the block. He was marketed as the tough R&B guy, the one who seemed to emerge from a Mount Vernon street corner rather than a dressing room. That Mount Vernon detail is important. Though he was born in the Bronx, his years in Westchester County exposed him to a unique environment. Mount Vernon had a curious mix of suburban opportunities and hard-hitting street politics. It produced hustlers who moved with a certain edge. Opportunity sat right next to chaos, and people learned how to navigate both. According to Gene Deal, longtime bodyguard for Diddy and Bad Boy Records, Christopher wasn't just a performer playing a part. Deal has said plainly that Williams carried a real reputation, someone you didn't dare test. He was reportedly known to keep a revolver on him at all times.
But I knew who Christopher Williams was in the street. Gun, toting, drugs, the whole thing.
The moment that truly cemented Christopher Williams' reputation came in 1991, when Mario Van Peebles was assembling New Jack City. The film aimed to capture the crack era in all its grit and glamour, and it needed real energy. For the role of Kareem Akbar, the smooth bank teller who becomes a money launderer for the Cash Money brothers, they cast Christopher Williams. By all accounts, the New Jack City set was intense. Wesley Snipes was fully immersed as Nino Brown, radiating controlled chaos. Ice-T, already carrying real-life street credibility, played the law. Ego and testosterone filled the air, and everyone felt the constant pressure to prove themselves. For Williams, stepping into acting for the first time, the risk of looking soft was real, and he leaned into it completely. He didn't just play Kareem Akbar, he became him. Calm, stylish, dangerous without shouting it, his performance felt effortless, almost too real. When the movie hit theaters, audiences instantly believed it.
Common sense and arithmetic. The difference between them paying me $800.
Then the soundtrack single I'm Dreaming blew up, hitting #1 on the R&B charts. Overnight, Christopher Williams had leveled up. He wasn't just a singer anymore, he was a full-blown star. He had it all: The voice, the looks, the acting credibility, and most importantly, that edge. Women were drawn to the danger. Men respected it. But that's where the line began to blur. Industry insiders say that once New Jack City wrapped, Christopher didn't fully step out of Kareem Akbar. The character followed him into real life. His moves in the New York club scene shifted. Confidence morphed into arrogance. Cool became something colder. The early 90s were chaotic in a way hard to explain if you didn't live it. Money everywhere, hip-hop exploding, R&B stars crossing into film. The line between celebrity, street politics, and real danger was shrinking, and Christopher Williams was squarely in the middle of it. By then, Williams had it all. Dating some of the most beautiful women in the world, pulling up in flashy cars, walking into rooms with the kind of confidence that screamed untouchable. But behind the scenes, cracks were forming. No one questioned his voice or talent. What people whispered about were his temper, his jealousy, and the way arguments rarely stayed verbal. A good night could flip ugly in seconds. To understand how serious things were getting, you have to go back to the early 90s, to a place called the California Club. This wasn't just any venue. It was a hotspot where celebrities, street figures, and industry insiders collided. The night in question was meant to be pure celebration. A birthday party for Heavy D, one of hip-hop's most respected and genuinely beloved figures. But even at a party like that, the rules of the street didn't vanish just because the music was loud and the champagne was flowing. This account comes from Gene Deal, who was on security that night alongside an associate known in Harlem as Big Boy from 114th Street. Deal says the party was moving smoothly until something in the VIP section drew his attention. In the corner, away from the main energy, Christopher Williams was locked in a heated confrontation with a woman. At first glance, it looked like a loud argument, but the longer Deal watched, the clearer it became that this wasn't just words being exchanged. Williams had his hand wrapped around the woman's throat. He was choking her in the middle of a crowded party. What really set off alarm bells, though, was what Deal noticed next. While one hand clamped around her neck, the other was positioned behind his back. Deal recognized the movement instantly. Williams was reaching into his waistband. When Deal shifted his angle, he saw it, the handle of a gun.
See, this dude got this girl by her neck, and he got his hand behind his back like this, and it appeared to be a gun.
Deal identified it as a .38 special revolver, known on the streets as a Tree 8. The kind of gun people carried when they meant business reliable, doesn't jam, doesn't spew shell casings across the floor. In that moment, there was no time for words. Gene Deal and Big Boy acted instantly. Big Boy came in from the front, grabbing Williams's body to break his grip on the woman and pull him away. At the same time, Deal came from behind, zeroing in on the weapon. He describes grabbing Williams's wrist, twisting it hard, using leverage and body weight to wrest the gun free.
So we got him. I pause him and twist his hand.
Then they hauled him out of the club, tossing him onto the sidewalk like any other problem patron who had crossed the line. Once outside, Deal took control of the gun, emptying it round by round, carefully pulling each bullet from the cylinder and slipping them into his pocket. He then tucked the empty revolver away as well. When Deal confronted Williams, asking what the hell he was thinking, Williams shrugged casually and said, "She had me bugging."
Yo, my man, what's wrong? Why you doing that? What's going on with you, bruh? He ain't say nothing, man. He said, yo, she be bugging, she be having me bugging. That's all he was saying. Yo, she had me bugging.
Christopher Williams stood outside the club, simmering but silent. He waited. As the night wound down and the party began to thin out, he approached Deal again, asking for his gun back. Deal handed him the revolver, but it was empty. Williams took it, gave a nod, and disappeared into the Harlem night. According to long circulating rumors, the woman Williams allegedly choked at Heavy D's birthday party may have been Halle Berry. Nothing was ever officially confirmed. Even Gene Deal has made it clear he wasn't 100% certain it was only that the woman looked like Halle Berry.
But somebody said, you know, that was his girlfriend at the time, Halle Berry. So they said it was her.
So from what you've seen, right, do you think it was her?
It was somebody who looked like Halle Berry to me.
When you line up the timeline, the speculation isn't surprising. Christopher Williams and Halle Berry started dating in late 1991, and they were Black Hollywood's ultimate IT couple. Halle was fresh off Jungle Fever, hailed as Hollywood's next breakout star. Christopher was riding high from New Jack City, his music career hot, his image dangerously magnetic. When they appeared together, like at the NAACP Image Awards in January 1992, they looked perfect. But behind the glitz, things were reportedly far from calm. Gene Deal has said he can't confirm that the woman at the California club was Halle Berry, but everything else matches. The timing, the intensity, the behavior. And that speculation ties directly into one of Hollywood's most unsettling mysteries. Who damaged Halle Berry's hearing? In 1996, Halle revealed to People magazine that a former boyfriend, someone well-known in Hollywood, hit her so hard in the head that her left eardrum ruptured, leaving her with about 80% hearing loss in that ear. She never named him, but said she left the relationship so fast, there were skid marks. From that moment, the rumor mill spun relentlessly. Many fingers pointed at Christopher Williams. To some, it made sense he already had a reputation for volatility. Stories about guns, fights, and explosive behavior were part of his public persona. He fit the narrative perfectly. Then, in 2004, Williams finally addressed the rumors in an interview with EUR Web. He denied any involvement and went further, naming someone else. According to him, it wasn't him. He claimed Wesley Snipes was responsible for the injury. The statement shocked many, essentially putting Snipes in the crosshairs. Yet the timeline actually lines up. Halle dated Snipes around 1990, just before her relationship with Williams. The injury happened early in her career, and Williams insisted that while he had been reckless, that act wasn't his. To this day, Halle has never publicly confirmed the culprit. Still, Williams never painted his relationship with Halle as smooth. He once shared a story he framed as romantic. Early in their relationship, he allegedly brought a gun onto a movie set, and Halle hid it for him so he wouldn't get caught. He told it like a love story, but to most listeners, it sounded like something darker, a glimpse into how normalized chaos and danger had become around him. Violence didn't stay in the club or the street, it followed him everywhere. As the 90s rolled on, the music landscape shifted. New Jack Swing's dominance faded, replaced by the raw, emotional sound of hip-hop soul, led by artists like Mary J. Blige. Christopher Williams felt the change, and instead of adapting, frustration boiled over. There are reports, later detailed on Unsung, of Williams completely losing control at Uptown Records offices. Feeling disrespected by executives and fearing his career was slipping, he didn't negotiate or step back. He exploded. Equipment smashed, furniture destroyed, offices wrecked. Witnesses saw it all. In an industry that thrives on relationships and careful risk management, this outburst was the final straw.
I became super frustrated, and I started evolving back to the kid that was trying to get out of the Bronx and out of those elements.
He came immediately to my office to destroy it, and then he went to Andre and destroyed the...
Andre again is not there. I was in a rage, and so I smashed all the gold and platinum records.
From a business perspective, none of Christopher Williams' talent mattered anymore. His voice, still one of the cleanest in R&B, his hits, his acting credits, his name recognition, it all counted for nothing. What mattered now was liability. By that point, Williams was seen as radioactive. Labels stopped calling, opportunities dried up, and doors quietly closed. By the mid-1990s, Williams was fighting battles on two fronts and losing ground on both. His career momentum was slipping, and his personal life was spiraling just as badly. The spotlight that once made him feel untouchable was fading, and without that protection, everything became louder, messier, and harder to control. After his breakup with Halle Berry, Williams began dating actress Stacey Dash. On paper, it looked like another high-profile Black Hollywood pairing, recognizable, attractive, and plugged into the industry. They even had a son together, Austin, but the reality was far from glossy. Stacey Dash has spoken openly about that period, saying she entered the relationship already wounded, fresh from an abusive situation, seeking stability, safety, and peace. Instead, she found more chaos, just a different flavor of it. The relationship was exhausting, and their breakup sparked years of brutal custody battles, widely known behind the scenes in entertainment circles. Meanwhile, Williams' career continued to stall. The big checks stopped coming, radio stations ignored him, labels weren't calling, but the lifestyle remained expensive. Slowly, he drifted out of the mainstream. He didn't disappear entirely, but the days of chart-topping singles and movie roles were over. He showed up in stage plays, reality TV appearances, and interviews that felt nostalgic rather than celebratory. For a while, it seemed his story had quietly settled into a footnote. Then the Diddy storm hit. As Sean Diddy Combs became embroiled in lawsuits and federal investigations tied to trafficking, coercion, and abuse, the internet turned into a firing range. Names from the past were dragged back into the conversation. Old rumors resurfaced, new ones were invented, and in the middle of that chaos, Jaguar Wright lit a match. Known for her no-filter industry exposés, Wright made a shocking allegation that Christopher Williams had engaged in sexual acts with Diddy in the early 90s to secure a record deal.
When she walked in, the door wasn't locked, so she didn't think twice about just walking in. And when she walked in, she saw Christopher Williams performing fellatio on Puff.
In hip-hop culture, few accusations carry more weight or disrespect. For a man whose entire image was built around being a tough, gun-carrying Mount Vernon gangster, the idea that he compromised himself for industry access was a direct attack on his identity. Christopher Williams didn't let it slide. In 2024, he appeared on the Willie Dive podcast to confront the claims head-on. He was visibly angry, defensive, and unflinching. He highlighted what he saw as the biggest flaw in the story, the timeline. Williams had signed a major record deal in 1988, years before Diddy became the powerhouse gatekeeper he would later be. To Williams, the story simply didn't add up, and he denied it outright.
I gave Puffy fellatio to get a record deal in like 92. I came out in 89. I had a record deal in 88. And anybody who knows me knows that is ridiculous.
But even that wasn't the lowest point. In October 2017, a police report out of McDonough, Georgia, shocked those who remembered the Christopher Williams of old. He was arrested for shoplifting a pair of JBL headphones, valued at $99.99 from a Kohl's department store. According to police, Williams claimed he simply forgot the headphones were in his bag.
Christopher Williams. We all know Christopher Williams is an R&B singer. Remember, he was in New Jack City, Georgia. He had a tote bag and he had a baseball cap on, and they said he went to the back of the store, grabbed some headphones for $99.99 and tried to walk out the store with them. Then security stopped him, and he said he simply forgot that he threw them in the bag.
Maybe it was an honest mistake. Maybe he truly forgot. But perception is everything, and to the public, it looked like rock bottom. This was a man who once held #1 records, starred in films, and had the world at his feet, now arrested over headphones that cost less than a studio mic. Then, in 2021, the story almost ended for real. Christopher Williams was hospitalized and fell into a coma, his body ravaged by kidney failure. He deteriorated rapidly, dropping to around 129 pounds, unable to walk or feed himself. The tough guy persona he'd carried for decades was stripped away, replaced by something raw, human, and fragile. But he survived. Slowly, painfully, he clawed his way back. Against all odds, Christopher Williams is still here. In 2025, he released a new single and announced a new album in the works. He is rebuilding himself physically, creatively, and spiritually, proving that even the hardest falls don't have to be the end.